Hey squad, Jakus here, and the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild really took my breath away. Get it? Please laugh. Breath of the Wild blew me away. I initially decided that I wanted to play it in short bursts, but I was immediately sucked into the world of Hyrule and became hooked on the game. I couldn't put it down. Instead of trying to understand what to do, where to go, how to get there, I just went with the flow of the world. I explored at my own pace, and Breath of the Wild empowers, even encourages this. The magic of Breath of the Wild is just seeing what is possible. Do I have enough stamina to climb that big mountain? If not, I'll find another way to get up there. Can I beat that scary looking enemy? Probably not, but I'll have fun trying, and later on I can return with a more powerful weapon. And sometimes it's just nice to relax. Sitting by a campfire in a dark forest, talking to the residents of Kakariko Village, watching the sunrise from the top of a mountain. All of it is spectacular. With Tears of the Kingdom on the horizon, I wanted to honour this absolutely fantastic video game by attempting to recreate it within the Unreal editor for Fortnite. Could I make Fortnite feel like Breath of the Wild, or would my attempts fall short? Let's find out. The first thing was to recreate Hyrule. To create the landmass itself, I spent thousands of hours painstakingly recreating every detail within the editor, remaking every nook and crevice, every deep dark cave or towering mountain peak, every town and glacier and desert cactus. Nah, I'm kidding. I found the hype map online and I imported it into the game. I used a different terrain material to that of standard Fortnite to make it feel really different. So with that done, I think this actually needs a little more adjusting. Okay, that's more like it, yeah, that's good. The next stage was to paint in the biomes. I started with the mountains you can't reach in game, painting them a weirdly shiny green to make them unappealing and effectively discourage players from travelling there, signalling that they are purely visual and not places to explore. Next was the Gerudo Desert, which I painted with a wavy sand texture that honestly looked a little off, but it was the closest I could get with the landscape material I used. I think the texture is made for small coastal beaches rather than sweltering deserts, but it works well enough. Then came the Goron Valleys and Death Mountain, which I painted with a volcanic rock texture that fits surprisingly well. Strangely, there isn't much variation in the world of video game volcanic rock textures. For the snowy mountains, I checked all of the paints and there actually wasn't a snow texture. So I decided to go with another sand, which was very much not the right fit, but it was the closest I had. Thankfully, the snow biome doesn't take up much of Hyrule. Now before I continued, I had to fix an issue. Due to the height map being severely scaled down due to the size of a UEFN island being much smaller than Breath of the Wild's map, the edges of pretty much everything were jagged and unnatural. I decided to use the smooth tool to smooth over the edges. However, this risked blending terrain together and making it slightly less accurate to the original, but with the scale already reduced, I decided that this was a risk I had to take, so I started smoothing over the entire map. I went back and forth with the tool, brushing lightly and avoiding holding it in the same spot for too long so as to not erode the terrain shape too much. Some details were lost, but overall the damage wasn't too bad and it made the map a lot smoother. With the main terrain done, my next job was to add some of the details of the world. Of course, I wasn't going to remake every structure as that would take many hours, and frankly, I don't get paid well enough to do that level of detail for a map that I won't even be able to publish for reasons my lawyers have advised me not to speak on. I used a lava ring to create the illusion of bubbling magma in Death Mountain. I used this weird cuddle tree prop to create the Great Deku Tree. I'm not entirely sure why this prop exists, but it works weirdly well for creating a Fortnite parody of the Deku Tree. I also placed down a big old rock right in front of it and put an item placer device on it. We'll come back to this in a bit. I realised that I still hadn't placed an ocean yet, so I did that too. It took a while for the game to register that oceans do in fact have water, but once it did, well, it sure was an ocean. It was at this point that I decided to jump in-game to do the rest of the details. Oh, Yep, that's pretty much the Fortnite experience on PC in 2023. Launching a session and attempting to ignore the comedically high amount of GPU this program uses, I set to work. Returning to the Great Cuddle Tree, I used Wait, did they remove the Melee Manager? I guess the Infinity Blade will have to do, as Epic hates fun. There's our Master Sword, sealed away in ice. Sure. When it comes to shrines and towers, Fortnite has us covered. Epic already ripped off Zelda with the Spire Towers in the Primal season, and thankfully these towers have been added to Creative, so I can just dot those around the map. The towers were simple, and I could remember roughly where a bunch spawned around Hyrule, so I tried to correlate my placements with where they'd be in Zelda. But the shrines, well, there are over 100 across Hyrule, so I placed about a dozen before getting bored. Now trees. I found that combining this small tree from Neo Tilted with a large oak tree from Chapter 4 gave the Breath of the Wild vibes I was going for. Now, was I going to go across this entire map and place trees? What do you take me for? An environmentalist? No, I'm way too lazy for that, so I just placed a few across Central Hyrule and called it a day. I mean, most of them won't even show up at once anyway, thanks to Fortnite having the same rendering capabilities as the Nintendo 3DS. Now, it's time to recreate some of Hyrule's landmarks. First, the Where's the plateau? Yeah, turns out squishing down the height map by several hundred times kinda destroyed the Great Plateau. Oh well. For Hyrule Castle, I used the Princess Castle prefabs that everyone forgets exists. I placed a big old castle and some walls. For Calamity Ganon, I had to get creative. I found this meteor particle which I sized way up and... I think I made it a little too big. So big, in fact, that I had to go back into the Unreal editor to delete it. Oops. I was careful to make the particle a slightly more reasonable size in my second attempt, which came out looking pretty nice. Adding this particle from the Cube Island gallery a few times to create this cool tornado effect, and that's Hyrule Castle done. I decided to also do Gerudo Town, pretty much entirely from memory, so this could be the least accurate thing to ever exist, but I wouldn't know because deserts suck and I never go to the one in Zelda. I used the Colossal Crops gallery to create the exterior wall. I had to raise the terrain at one point. I'm pretty sure I built this in the wrong place, but you know, it's fine, it's fine. Then I just threw down some Pueblo prefabs and called it done. So, yeah. Using some trees from the Kevin Cube gallery, I made that spooky forest around the Cuddle Tree, and then used the VFX device to make the area look like a Vapor's Paradise. And there it is. Zelda Breath of the Wild in Fortnite. Incredibly scuffed. Yeah, this is Fortnite Creative, so it looks exceptionally unexceptional thanks to the endless unneeded limitations placed on creators by our overlords at Epic Games. It looks pretty cool in the editor though, so there's something. Damn, I really could have used this time to get a job or speak to a woman or something. Well, at least I wasn't copyrighted. Damn it.